In the long lineage of armored warfare, one name stands as the ultimate synonym for the Terminator, the Abrams. Since its birth in the twilight of the Cold War over 40 years ago, the M1 series hasn't just sat on the throne, it has owned the room. During the 1991 Gulf War, it famously sliced through enemy lines like a hot knife through butter, leaving challengers to rust in the sand. For decades, the Abrams wasn't just a participant in modern land combat, it was the one writing the rule book. The formula was as brutal as it was simple: impenetrable, depleted uranium armor, a surgical fire control system, and a gas turbine engine that made logistics officers cry but left enemies terrified. It was the undisputed apex predator. But even legends have a shelf life. When you look at the M1E3 SEPV3, a monster weighing in at 73 tons and pushing nearly 80 when fully combat loaded, you're no longer seeing invincible power. You're seeing a machine gasping for air at its physical limit. To counter modern missiles and IEDs, the US Army kept stacking buffs, piling on more armor, more sensors, and more active protection systems until the king of the desert became a logistical nightmare. The result? A steel behemoth so bloated it's outgrowing the very C-17 transport planes meant to carry it. It's too heavy for most bridges, too thirsty for most fuel trucks, and too cumbersome for the fast-paced, light and lethal strategy the Pentagon now demands. By late 2023, the Army realized you can't just keep patching a 1980s mainframe. They axed the planned SEPV4 upgrade entirely and greenlit a radical, ground-up rebirth, the M1E3. This isn't just a facelift, it's a high-stakes survival play in an era where heavy armor is no longer just the hunter, but increasingly the hunted. The Abrams has spent the last 40 years in a state of incremental bloat. Since 1980, the Pentagon has treated it like a Christmas tree, constantly hanging new ornaments on the chassis. Every time a new threat appeared, be it a Russian Kornet missile or a sophisticated IED, the solution was identical. Bolt on more armor, add another sensor, and plug in a new jammer. By the time the M1E2 SEPV3 arrived, the tank had become a victim of its own success. In its base configuration, it weighs 66.8 metric tons, but a tank doesn't go to war naked. Once you add a full combat load of 120mm shells, thousands of rounds of machine gun ammo, fuel, and the trophy active protection system, you're staring down nearly 73 metric tons of steel. In military terms, this is a logistical catastrophe. Think about the geography. Most bridges in Eastern Europe are rated for a military load classification of 70. The SEPV3 is an MLC 80+. In a high-speed dash across the Suwalki Gap, the world's most powerful tank could be stopped dead in its tracks, not by an enemy platoon, but by a standard civilian bridge that simply buckles under its weight. As Major General Glenn Dean, the Army's Program Executive Officer for Ground Combat Systems, put it, "The Abrams can't grow anymore. We've reached the limit of what we can do with the current chassis and power pack." Then there is the issue of thirst. The Abrams is powered by the AGT 1500 gas turbine, essentially a jet engine in a box. It allows the tank to accelerate like a sports car, but it drinks JP8 fuel at an unsustainable rate. Worse yet, it has zero idle efficiency. Whether the tank is charging at 70 kilometers per hour or sitting still at a checkpoint, that turbine is screaming, sucking down fuel and generating a massive thermal signature. On a modern infrared drone camera, an idling Abrams looks like a glowing sun. It's impossible to hide. By 2023, the Army was prepping the SEPV4 upgrade. It promised third-generation FLIR sensors and improved laser rangefinders, the smartest Abrams ever. But the math didn't add up. SEPV4 would have pushed the weight even higher, required more power, and generated even more heat. The Army realized they were trying to run 21st century software on a 1980s mainframe. Under Secretary of the Army Gabe Camarillo summarized the pivot. "We're at a point where we can't add any more capability without adding more weight. We simply can't go any heavier." On September 6, 2023, the Army made a bold, clean sheet decision. They axed the SEPV4. They chose to stop patching the old king and instead build a new one. The mandate for the M1E3 was simple but brutal: cut the weight to under 60 metric tons / fuel consumption, and integrate active defense from the ground up. But how do you strip 13 metric tons without sacrificing protection? The answer lay in a radical skunkworks project that looked like it jumped straight out of a sci-fi movie, the Abrams X. That skunkworks project, the Abrams X, wasn't just a showpiece. It provided the US Army with a radical new blueprint for combat math. To strip 13 metric tons off a main battle tank without turning it into a soft target. You don't just shave down the metal, you reinvent the vehicle's entire armored geometry. The secret to this massive weight loss is a fundamental engineering principle called protected volume. Think of it this way. In the old M1E3, the turret is a massive armored room designed to keep 3 humans alive. Because humans take up space, that room has to be wrapped in thousands of kilograms of heavy composite armor. This is the weight trap. More crew space requires more armor, which requires a bigger engine, which adds even more weight. The M1E3 breaks this cycle by moving the entire 3-man crew out of the turret and into a reinforced armored capsule buried deep in the hull. By doing this, the Army effectively shrunk the protected volume, the area that requires the heaviest protection, by nearly 40%. Since there are no people in the turret, it no longer needs to be a massive, impenetrable box of depleted uranium. You protect the people, not the machinery. This shift in geometry is the primary reason the M1E3 can finally hit its sub-60-ton target, but the diet continues with the very teeth of the tank. The M1E3 adopts the XM360 120mm lightweight cannon. This isn't just a shorter barrel, it's a masterpiece of material science. By using a titanium alloy breech and a composite-wrapped barrel, the XM360 provides the same lethal punch as the old M256 gun, but weighs nearly 1 metric ton less. This reduction in recoil mass created a ripple effect. A lighter gun allows for a lighter turret ring and a much more compact autoloader. Then there is the heart of the beast, the hybrid electric drive. In a traditional tank, the mechanical transmission and massive fuel cells take up an incredible amount of internal real estate. The head system is a packaging miracle. By replacing the bulky old transmission with high-torque electric motors and a compact turbine generator, the Army shrunk the entire engine compartment. This didn't just save weight, it provided the M1E3 with a high-output electrical skeleton. Why does electricity matter for weight? Because it allows the Army to swap passive armor for active intelligence. In the 20th century, if you wanted to survive a missile, you needed 200 millimeters of solid steel. In the 21st century, the M1E3 uses the modular active protection system. Instead of carrying tons of dead armor to absorb a hit, the E3 uses ultra-fast radars and interceptors to swat threats out of the sky before they ever touch the hull. By integrating APS into the tank's digital skin from day one, the M1E3 can afford to be lighter because it's much harder to actually hit. Finally, the weight savings extend to the very ground it rolls on. The M1E3 utilizes active suspension and lightweight composite tracks. Traditional steel tracks are a logistical nightmare. They are heavy, loud, and they vibrate the chassis to pieces. The new system uses AI to read the terrain, adjusting damping in milliseconds. This allows the 60-ton M1E3 to maintain higher cross-country speeds than the 73-ton SEP V3, all while putting significantly less stress on the chassis. But don't let the leaner look fool you. Through its modular open systems approach, the M1E3 is a mobile supercomputer. It uses AI to handle the grunt work that the human loader used to do, managing target prioritization and hybrid power flow. This isn't just a tank that went to the gym, it's a platform that traded raw mass for a high-speed nervous system. Comparing the M1E3 to its peers isn't just about checking boxes on a spec sheet, it's about identifying the strategic ceiling. While other nations are trying to push old platforms to their absolute limits, the US has effectively switched the game board. First, look at Germany's Leopard 2A8. In today's geopolitical climate, it is the gold standard of safe choices, reliable, standardized, and battle-hardened. It utilizes the NGVA, which means its digital brains are actually quite sharp. But the 2A8's dilemma is physical. It is a top-tier digital suite trapped in a 70 metric ton legacy frame. By retaining the 4-man crew and a traditional diesel power pack, the Leopard has hit its electrical ceiling. High-energy laser weapons and massive electronic warfare arrays of the 2030s require staggering amounts of kilowatt hours. A traditional diesel alternator simply cannot provide that kind of redundancy. The Leopard 2A8 is the finest 20th century tank ever made, but it lacks the electrical heart to power the 21st century's most lethal tools. Then there is Russia's T-14 Armata. On paper, the T-14 was a conceptual pioneer. It was the first to attempt the unmanned turret and crew capsule layout that the M1E3 is now perfecting. But in military engineering, innovation without industrial maturity is just expensive vaporware. The Armada's fatal flaw is its anemic nervous system. Hamstrung by a struggling domestic electronics sector and global sanctions, Russia cannot provide the high-bandwidth sensors or the AI processing power required to make an unmanned turret truly functional. An unmanned turret without a fused digital cockpit is just a high-tech blindfold. The T-14's vision reached for the 21st century, but its industrial base is still stuck in the 20th. The M1E3's true advantage is that it is the world's only digital native platform. By skipping the transitional patchwork upgrades that define the Leopard 2A8, the US Army utilized the hybrid electric drive to shatter the physical limits of power and stealth. This hybrid system isn't just for saving fuel. It's an onboard power plant that provides the electrical overhead for future anti-drone lasers. Meanwhile, its modular open systems approach is a foundation, not an afterthought. It allows the M1E3 to integrate new anti-drone software or sensor modules as easily as updating an app on your phone. But the most decisive shift is one of philosophy. The Leopard and the Armada were built to be tanks, direct fire platforms meant to kill other vehicles. The M1E3 is designed as a domain node. Its sub-60 metric ton profile gives it a level of strategic agility its heavier rivals can't match. It is built for a 2040 battlefield where survival depends as much on your digital signature as it does on your armor thickness. The US Army isn't just building a better tank, they are building a ground-based command and control hub. By marrying lightweight physics, massive electrical redundancy, and manned-unmanned teaming capabilities, the M1E3 has established an undisputed generational gap. While other nations are still polishing the shields of yesterday, the M1E3 has already become the predator of tomorrow. So, where does this leave us? As of early 2026, the M1E3 isn't just a collection of PowerPoint slides. Prototype units are already heading to the 1st Cavalry Division for transformation in contact testing. They aren't just testing if the tank can shoot, they are testing if a 3-man crew can handle the cognitive load of managing a tank while simultaneously controlling a swarm of drone wingmen. The strategic math has changed. By dropping the weight below 60 metric tons, the Army has solved the C-17 problem. We are moving back to a world where a single transport aircraft can efficiently deliver armor across the globe, and where a bridge in a rural village isn't a no-go zone. This strategic agility is something the heavy transitional Leopard simply cannot offer. The M1E3 is a confession that the Iron Age of warfare is over, and the Silicon Age has begun. It's the US Army betting that the future of the tank isn't about being an impenetrable fortress, but about being a mobile, invisible, and lethal node in a massive digital network. The legendary General George S. Patton once said, "Equipment is only as good as the men who use it." But in 2030, the equipment might be the one doing the heavy thinking. The M1E3 is the Army's answer to the "tank is dead" crowd. It proves that the king of the battlefield isn't abdicating the throne. It's just shedding its heavy skin and getting ready for a much faster, much deadlier game. The Abrams started as a Cold War Terminator. It survived the deserts of Iraq. And now, as the M1E3, it is evolving to survive a sky full of drones. It's not just a tank anymore. It's a hub of lethal intelligence. For anyone still betting against heavy armor, the M1E3 has one message. The king is back, and this time, you won't even hear him coming.